At 3:28 a.m., the master alarm hit like a punch, one long tone rolling through concrete, then a strobe of white light that turned the tear silver. On the screen in the control room, camera C12 flash motion detected even though the door it watched was bolted shut, and the floor in front of it was clean. Officer Ryan Cole shot to his feet, headset half on, coffee half full. Officer Jenna West already had the radio in her hand. "All units, confirm," she said, voice calm, words clipped. The board showed green for every lock, green for every gate, green for every sally port. Still, the motion kept tripping blip, 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 like a heartbeat you could see. "Run the secondary," Ryan said. Jenna toggled the thermal view. The screen went to gray haze, then shapes, a square of cold door, a line of cold floor, nothing more moving. But the motion counter climbed anyway. 10, 11, 12. Down on the tier, Officer Marcus Reed heard it too. The tone, the echo, the short rush of air as fans kicked higher. He turned his light on the seam of the door the camera watched. The beam showed dust, paint, steel. Nothing else. "Control, Tier C standing by, show me," he said. "Showing," Jenna answered, pushing the view to his handheld monitor. The same empty door filled his tiny screen. Empty, and somehow not quiet. Because behind the tone and the fan and the buzz of the lights, Marcus could hear something else. The soft tick of the time relay in the ceiling as it cycled the light schedule that never truly went dark. The alarm cut. For half a second, the prison held its breath. Then a different light blinked. Biometric, attention. A thin line of words walked across the bottom of the screen. Microvibration, Pod C, source unknown. Jenna swallowed. "That's the floor sensor," she said. "Not the camera." "Could be plumbing," Ryan said. "Could be generator drift." He didn't believe it. In a place like Pelican Bay, you learned the building's voice. This wasn't drift. This was the building saying, "I am awake." Marcus pressed his gloved fingers to the concrete. He could feel it, the tiniest hum, like a phone on silent. "Control, I've got vibration at door 12, he said. "Locks still read secure." "Read secure," Jenna confirmed. On his monitor, the timer for the fake night cycle hit the exact second when the lights dimmed 2 degrees to mimic a dawn that never comes. The tier did not change. No window. No sky. The same white hum. Inmates stared at ceilings. Officers stared at screens. The clock said night, the wall said day, and the building said both. "Hold position," Ryan told Marcus. "We'll isolate the sensor." Before Marcus could answer, a new tone cut the air, short, sharp, angry. "Gate request, service, Pod C." A small yellow square lit up where no one should be pressing a button at 3:28 a.m. "Service corridor?" Jenna whispered. "No one is scheduled," Ryan said, eyes on the board. "No line staff have that key." The yellow square blinked again as if whoever stood behind the steel pressed twice. Patient. On the camera above the corridor, the frame showed what it always showed: concrete, a grated drain, a blank door with no handle on the tier side. Still, the gate request kept pulsing. Marcus stared at it, light bouncing off his visor. "Control," he said, "I have no movement and a live request. We need to." The speaker by his head came alive with a burst of static, then a voice that was not quite a voice. Not an inmate. Not a person. The building itself speaking in code. 5 clicks from the relay, a fan surge, the soft whine of a UPS battery telling him backup power had just shifted its load. Everything still worked. Everything was fine. Everything was awake. "Copy," Ryan started, but he didn't get the word out. Every camera on the wall went black for a single beat. Not long. Just long enough for Ryan to see his own face in the glass, and for Jenna to hear the jiggle of keys from somewhere they were not. When the pictures came back, the yellow square was gone, the request was gone, the microvibration was gone. So was the little line of dust Marcus had drawn with his finger moments earlier along the base of the door to see if air moved. The dust had smeared like someone's boot had slid there. "Reset," Jenna said, though she knew nobody had moved. "Recount pod." Marcus clicked his light off and on like a metronome. Starting recount, he said, and took a breath. The tears settled around him. The fan, the light, the low talk through vents, the long, slow drip in the corner that everyone knows and no one fixes. He began the list the way you always begin it here, when the world is white and the clock is a rumor. Cell 1, he called softly. Eyes. Hands. Good. Cell 2. Good. Cell 3. Good. Behind a door, a man coughed and rolled. Behind another, someone whispered to himself over and over, the way people do when time has no edges. The camera counters steadied. The alarm bar cleared. The board went back to green. Marcus reached cell 12, pressed his palm to the glass, and saw his breath bloom. Inside, the bunk was neat, the sink dry, the orange jumpsuit folded like a flat person on a chair. The inmate, Jackson Hale, stood with his hands on his thighs, eyes on the door, not angry, not scared, wide awake because Pelican Bay does not sleep. He leaned his head toward the tray slot and spoke in a tone too calm for the hour. Been tapping the wall, Jackson said. To feel the building answer. It always does before the change. What change? Marcus asked. Jackson lifted his chin toward the ceiling. Light drop, he said. The fake morning. Makes some guys snap if they don't expect it. You hear it in the vents. Fans click, relay ticks, camera hertzing. Calls hit medical. It's a thing. He was right. Reports, audits, and interviews all say the same. No natural light, rotating shifts, lights that dim but never stop. This is how the Supermax stays awake. The myth is that chaos keeps you up. The reality is that control keeps you up. The clocks are set, the bodies are not. So the building and the brains inside it take turns reminding each other what time is supposed to be. Marcus noted it. You need anything? He asked. Jackson shook his head. I sleep in minutes, he said. Like quarters in a jar. Marcus moved on. The low part of the night returned, and with it the real work. He checked hands, counted breaths, told a man in cell 7 to put down his towel because anything covering a vent is a violation and also a danger. He wrote down the small things that mean big things later. A scratch on the frame, a pencil missing, a cup that wasn't there before. He told himself the alarm was a test like the others, a glitch he could hold in his teeth until it stopped moving. Upstairs, Jenna logged the event. Time, sensors, nothing found. She drank cold coffee. She rubbed a thumb under her left eye, where the burn lives, at 4 hours before daylight. Night shift myth, she said, almost smiling, is that you get used to this. Day shift myth, Ryan answered, is that anything ever sleeps. They watched the board, and the board watched them. In the housing unit, the staff did push-ups in break rooms to trick their blood into believing they belonged to the morning. In cells, men did calisthenics in slow, silent sets, 10 pause, 10, counting by breath because the clock on the wall kept more than time. It kept the shape of hope. In medical, a nurse checked a blood pressure at 3:41 a.m. and wrote the number in round, tidy loops. In the kitchen, a motor hummed for breakfast trays that would roll at 4:30, whether anyone felt like eating or not. Pelican Bay stayed awake the way a city stays awake. Different rooms, same pulse. You could lay the schedules over each other like clear sheets. Officer rounds, inmate showers, laundry cycles, mail, lights, meals, meds. One sheet slips, the others catch it. That is the design. That is the promise. Control through layers, sleep replaced by system. Marcus reached the end of the tier and turned back toward the service door with a camera that had cried wolf. He told himself he was only looking to be sure. He told himself he was only checking his work. He told himself this was routine. Control, he said. Tier C complete, counts match. Copy, Jenna said, relief soft in the word. Stand by for. A sound cut her off, a single firm knock from inside the service corridor. Not a bang. Not a rattle. A knock like a person uses on a front door when they expect you to open. Ryan's eyes snapped to the board. No lights changed. No request appeared. The camera showed the empty frame. Knock. Marcus felt the vibration through his boots again, cleaner now, like the hum had sharpened. Control, he said, voice lower. Confirm no maintenance. Confirm, Ryan said, already standing, already reaching for the phone that calls the sergeant at home and the lieutenant in the next building. No maintenance scheduled, no service traffic, no. Knock, knock, knock. 3 times. Even. Patient. The way a person who lives by rules asks to be let in. Jenna's radio hissed, and then carried a different sound. The tiny tick of the time relay again as it flipped the false morning down 1 more degree. Somewhere on another pod, a man shouted at the light that never changed. Somewhere in laundry, the cart rolled early. Somewhere in medical, the nurse capped a pen. Marcus stepped closer to the door. Control, I'm 10 feet, he said. No visible gaps. No air movement. Still feel. The word stuck. Because something moved then, not big, not loud. Only a shadow slid across the bottom of the seam like a sleeve, and the gray line of dust that wasn't there became a new line, as if air had shifted twice. Marcus. Jenna started. Hold. The service light above the door, the one that never comes on because no one ever uses it at this hour, clicked to yellow. And from behind the steel, a small voice came through the speaker grill, calm, official, the way a memo sounds when it is printed and handed out. Pelican Bay stays awake, it said, because we do. Open for inspection. Marcus looked up at the lens. The lens looked back. Control, he said. Silence. He set his hand on the cold bar that should not move without 3 keys and 2 signatures. And the yellow light turned green. Marcus didn't pull the bar. He kept his glove there, steady, like a seatbelt you touch when the car brakes too hard. The small green light glowed above the service door. It should never glow. Not at this hour. Not without 3 keys and 2 signatures. He spoke without moving his hand. Control, I am at the service door. Indicator shows green. I have not touched the mechanism. No answer. The radio carried only the soft hiss of a live line. Up in the booth, Jenna and Ryan stared at the board. Every square was still green. No alarms. No faults. No door open anywhere on the screen. The system said the world was normal. Marcus, step back 2 feet, Ryan said at last. Do not pull the bar. 2 feet, Marcus confirmed and planted his boots. He listened. Supermax teaches your ears to see. The fan hummed at the same pitch as before. The lights buzzed at the same thin tone. The false dawn sat at the same not-quite-day brightness. From behind him, a man in cell 10 turned on his side and whispered to himself, counting breaths the way people do when the night feels long. From inside the service corridor there was nothing. No foot scrape. No cough. No key jingle. Just air that felt colder than it should, the way a fridge feels when you open it in a hot room. Jenna tried the intercom. Service corridor. Identify yourself. Her voice came back from 3 speakers at once, one above the door, one at the end of the tier, one inside the control room, like the building wanted to make sure everyone heard the same sentence. Silence. A long, careful silence that told them somebody was listening. Ryan called the lieutenant. The line rang a long time, and then clicked once. Status, the lieutenant asked. Ryan spoke clean. Pod C service corridor shows access request and green indicator. Board does not reflect change. Officers are holding. No visual movement. Lock the area, the lieutenant said. Manual if needed. Do not open that door. The green light above the door flickered, as if it heard the order and had an opinion. It went dim, bright dim. Then it held steady again. Marcus said, copy. He felt the bar cool under his glove, as if something on the other side had brushed it with metal. He pictured a tech in a gray shirt. He pictured a hand he could not see. He did not like either picture. Okay, Jenna said into the mic, calm again. We're doing this by book. Marcus, start a recount from the door back. Jenna to floor in 30. Ryan holds the board. She came off the booth like a runner. In Supermax you don't sprint unless it's blood or fire. She moved fast anyway because the bad part of the night is the part where you think too long. She met Marcus at cell 12. His face was even. That helped. They started the count together. Quiet.
Clear. Slow.
Cell 1, good. Cell 2, good. In 11, a man tapped his finger 5 times on the bunk and smiled as if to say, I'm awake, see. In 12, Jackson Hale stood easy, palms open. You hear that voice? He asked. What voice? Jenna said. The one that said open for inspection, he said. Sounded like a training tape. He grinned without humor. We don't get many of those at 3:30. Jenna wrote it down. They kept moving. The low part returned. Messages passed on radios. Nothing wild. Nothing dramatic. A cup slid and stopped. A sink dripped and didn't. This is how control works when it works. You say the small things out loud so the small things don't turn into big things. They reached the end of the tier. The service light stayed green. Jenna crouched and looked at the seam where concrete met steel. The line of dust Marcus had used was gone. In its place were 3 tiny grains, blue-gray, crushed to powder, paint off something that had rubbed once and stopped. Ryan, mark trace transfer at doorbase, she said. Unknown source. Logged, he said. His voice had that wired night energy now. His eyes hadn't blinked in a while. Control, Marcus said, trying again. If anyone is in the service corridor, call our booth phone now. The booth phone rang. Ryan stared at it. The caller ID read, Internal, Building 3, Service. He lifted the receiver slow. Control, he said. A clear, flat voice came through. Not a person he knew. Not a voice he'd heard in any staff meeting. It sounded like the recorded woman who reads exit instructions on airplanes.
Calm. Bright.
Helpful. Pelican Bay stays awake because we do, the voice said. Open for inspection. Identify, Ryan said. Inspection. The voice said again, cheerful as a daylight memo. Open. Ryan put the phone on speaker and set it down. Jenna, you hear that?
We hear it, she said.
We are not opening. The phone clicked off. The green light over the service door went dark. Every bulb on the tier dimmed 2 more degrees for the false sunrise. The minute hand on the wall clock touched 3:30 a.m. The building made a small settling sound, the one it makes when a scheduled thing completes. That should have been the end of it. Lights adjust. Alarms clear. Everyone exhales. It was not the end. A second micro-vibration came through the floor, not at the service door this time, but at 3 places at once. Under Marcus's boots, under Jenna's knee, and under the far end of the tier. It felt like 3 phones buzzing on the same table. The control board flashed a message, first in the corner, then big across the middle. Biometric sweep, Pod C, stand by. Ryan.
Jenna said, already standing.
I didn't start that, he said. His fingers hovered above the keys. The board counted down from 5. A quiet click sounded inside the walls every second. On 0, a thin line moved across the screen left to right, like a scanner line. Nothing changed on the doors. Nothing changed on the cameras. But the air changed on faces. Cold on the forehead. Warm on the cheek. The way air feels when a fan alters pitch and you only notice because your skin does. Is this a drill? Marcus asked. No drill, Ryan said. The line finished its sweep. The board paused. Then new words appeared that none of them had seen in this place. Presence, 3 staff, 26 inmates, 1 unassigned. Nobody spoke. The number hung there like a breath you couldn't let out. Confirm count, the lieutenant said in Ryan's earpiece at the same time. Ryan stared at the board. It's reading 1 unassigned presence in Pod C. Location, the lieutenant asked. The board answered for him. A small green dot blinked at the service door. It pulsed twice, then stopped. The text changed. Unassigned moved. Service, corridor. Jenna and Marcus turned as one. The seam at the base of the service wall showed a thread of air now, the kind a candle would find and lean toward. No door opened. No bolt slid. The light was off. The gap was still the width of a coin. But the air kept drawing. Back 3, Jenna said softly, and they both took the same small step, as if that could make space for something they could not see. Lock it down, the lieutenant said. Mechanical.
Wedge.
I want 3 bodies and a bar on that door. We don't have a bar for service, Ryan said. It's internal. Then improvise.
Copy.
Ryan grabbed the thick flat tool they used to block sally ports in a power failure. He ran it down to the tier himself. Night shift does not always wait for more bodies. He slid the tool into the lowest seam and put a shoulder on it. On me, he said. Jenna and Marcus leaned in, 3 sets of weight against steel and concrete. For a second, nothing. Then the seam pushed back. Not a lot.
A breath.
Enough to lift the tool out of its notch and kiss Ryan's glove. He forced down. Jenna forced down. Marcus forced down. The seam stilled. Hold, Jenna breathed. Somewhere above them, a relay ticked, even and small, as if the building were counting. 5 clicks. Then 5 more. The phone in the booth rang again. Ryan didn't move. Jenna didn't move. Marcus didn't move. The ring kept going. 6, 7,
8.
Finally, the lieutenant picked up from his side, patched into the line. Identify, he barked. The same bright, helpful voice answered, clear through the speaker nearest the door. Inspection begins at 4, it said. Early access approved. By who? The lieutenant snapped. By us, the voice said. The board in the booth chimed. The clocks on the wall ticked once, loud enough to hear. The false sunrise moved forward 3 minutes all at once. The kitchen motor hummed harder. Laundry beeped awake. The whole unit shifted toward morning without the hour. Enough, the lieutenant said. Power cut to that section. Now. Ryan sprinted back to the panel and through the local breaker that drops a slice of the tier. The lights in a 12-foot square around the service door went black. The green dot on the board did not go away.
It moved.
1 blink to the left. Another blink to the right. Like someone inside the wall was pacing in a space no wider than a closet. Marcus felt it through his glove. The soft press of air like a hand on the other side of the bar. Listen, Jackson Hale said behind cell 12's glass, voice level, eyes bright. You can hear footsteps if you breathe with a fan. They all listened. Fan.
Tick. Breath.
Footsteps. Heel toe. Heel toe. Slow. Patient.
Real.
Jenna swallowed. Her mouth had gone dry. We're done being nice, she said, and reached for the manual jam wedge to lock the lower seam. She never got there. Every emergency light on the tier went white at once. No red, no dim. Full daylight blast. The UPS units in the walls screamed. The board flashed new text, big and simple. Service door override. The bar in Marcus's hand moved under its own power, down a 1/4 inch, then a half, then more, as if some hidden motor had engaged deep in the frame. Hands off, Jenna shouted, but the metal was already sliding. The seam opened to the width of 2 fingers. Cold air spilled out. And from the black line inside the wall, a small metal badge slipped onto the floor, spun once, and lay still. State inspections, access.